ask yourself the damn question. Is winning the only thing to you?
Sports today are not just played on the field. They're played every day, online, all over the world, by sports fans just like you.
Don't you dare breathe. That won't get you anywhere. If you don't think you're a winner, you don't belong here.
The Star Fantasy League Show puts you in control of your own team. Find out who to sit, who to start, how to play, and have your daily fantasy sports questions answered with your host, Jonathan Sprung, and co-host SFL CEO Zach Stanley and Nick Steblenko. The Star Fantasy League Show is on the air now.
Hello and welcome to the Star Fantasy League Show here on 105.5 The Team in Rochester. I am your host, Jonathan Sprung, and I'd like to give a nice, big, warm welcome back to SFL CEO, Mr. Zach Stanley. How you been, Zach?
It's so good to be back with both of you. Traveling on the wild frontier is fun, but it's not nearly as intriguing as sitting next to Nick.
Yes, you are sitting next to Teddy Bear 2 himself, Nick Steblenko. Nick, we kind of had a thing going. We had Jason in for some long relief duties. Thank you to Jason Gringer. I'm sure he hears us through the wall. That's weird. But, yeah, we're ready to get the team back together.
I'm very glad that I'm more intriguing than the Wild Frontier.
What wild frontiers were you involved with? I don't think any of this is true. I think you're making things up again.
Well, due to the certain nature of some meetings that I have, I can't disclose where I actually was. But I'm sure if you look through my email, you can see some itineraries.
Zach will actually be having a meeting very soon with a Buffalo Bill. Not a player, an actual Buffalo named Bill. Right? Is that part of the Wild Frontier? No?
I went to a Buffalo Bills bar when I was where I was.
When you were where you were. Wow, this is the most secretive thing I've ever heard. On Twitter, I'm sure you probably accidentally posted where you were like 8 times.
Well, if you can think of a place where they have pretty much a bar for every different type of fan, then that's where I was.
Las Vegas, Nevada?
No.
See, you're wrong. I knew that.
So you can still be cryptic on Twitter. You know, the CIA actually just tweeted its first tweet this past weekend.
Did it say LOL?
It said we can neither confirm nor deny that this is our first tweet.
Oh, my God. If that's true, that is horrible.
Why is it horrible?
That's just... The CIA
it's got to be awesome.
The CIA is trolling on
They're
Twitter.
a wild crew.
Of course they
Watch
are.
out for those guys.
Are you kidding me? I'll bet you they could throw the biggest party in the world and nobody'd ever
know. What? That might be right. The CIA is a wild crew, but on the Star Fantasy League Show, I feel like we are a much wilder crew for better reasons, right?
There's a lot of banter.
You know what? That is true. If you guys are listening to the radio and you hear some weird sound clips with people laughing at each other and making fun, that's our new promo clips. We got some interesting audio clips done by our guy in the cage. We appreciate that, sir. Go back to whatever you're doing.
We like to hold people accountable from a fantasy perspective and also pretty much everything else that could possibly be said.
Yeah, that sounds about right. So, yeah.
That was an excellent description.
If you say something stupid on the air, it's going to end up in a promo spot on the Star Fantasy League Show.
We call each other out for just about everything.
This is true. Flip-flopper.
Flipper.
Flopper.
Don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, don't worry. You'll be able to hear it live on 105.5 The Team.
Nick's picking the Rangers.
What, your erroneous claims? Sure, we can hear those any day you want.
All right, we got to get into today's Star Fantasy League show. We don't have to be accountable, and we're not making lineups today because it's Monday, and that means we're doing tiered pitcher breakdown for Monday in major leagues. And do you guys want to just get into it? I don't want to talk about the rest of the show. I want to talk about now.
Yeah, let's get into it. Not having to account for what happened the past weekend keeps me free from screwing up.
But I
can wait till tomorrow.
Yeah, really. I do want to say, I do believe I won 4 games in a row against Nick. 4, and now I'm up 2.
Ooh,
it's a big gap. I know, right?
I'm just not going to say anything.
Okay, we'll move on.
If he widens that thing to 5 or 6, it could be danger territory.
You said that about Nick last week, and now I made a nice little comeback.
I just feel like eventually somebody's going to creep up a little bit, and it's going to be a big deficit to come back from.
I'm hoping it's me. All right, let's get right into it. We broke this down into 3 different tiers for pitchers on StarFastLeagues.com. $15,000 and up, $10,000 to $15,000, and the last one is $10,000 and under. And would you believe it, on Monday on StarFastLeagues.com, 1 pitcher's in the top tier, and he's the only one who deserves to be there. That's Steven Strasburg.
Strazzle-dazzle.
And I don't think I'm hoping none of us disagree here. I think Steven Strasburg is the absolute pitcher play of the day, right?
I mean, no, I don't.
You don't think
I think you can find value in the other 2 tiers,
okay,
and I think it would be worth it. The reason I wouldn't take Strasburg, the Giants are on a really good streak right now. They are a very, very solid team. They might not score a ton of runs, but for the price, I just feel like you can find some more value somewhere else.
The only reason that I fear Strasburg on any occasion, well, he is apt to give up a chunk of runs for an inning here or there from time to time, but he also is one of those pitchers that is always on watch. about how long he goes throughout the course of a game, and he could end up just going. You could have a great game going. You could be like, oh, the points are just going to keep up coming, and all of a sudden the 6th inning ends, and that's it.
So you're saying he's the exact opposite of Max Scherzer, who gave up 3 or 4 runs in the first inning of a game, and then all of a sudden he pitched 7 or 8 innings and was fine. Steven Strasburg does not do that. There's guys
like that throughout the league that can have Clayton Kershaw, Felix Hernandez. They're in line for longevity pretty much every game. Strasburg, I don't know how long this is going to last, but it might last forever. He's a 6 to 7 inning guy for the most part, unless he's got a no going or his pitch count is extremely low.
Well, the other thing is that he hasn't had a stellar beginning to the season. He's had a very good, strong start, but
the strikeouts are always there.
Yeah, like you're saying, guys like Tanaka, Dervish, Scherzer, all these guys that are high on strikeouts, they can go the distance. They've been doing it all season long, and there's no doubt with them. With Strasburg, there's a little doubt here.
Let's not forget that the Giants have slowly been creeping up in strikeout percentage. I think they were like 12th or 13th a couple weeks ago. They're all the way up to 8th, which means recently they've been striking out a lot more than normal. So that kind of weighed into my play because we talk about top 10, top 5 and strikeout percentage. Not all the top 10 are playing today, so you got to pay attention to these teams that strike out a lot more on average. And obviously, he's averaging almost 11 per 9, which is a monster number.
You can count on the fact that there's going to be a lot of people with him in their lineup, regardless of anything else. A lot of people are going to have him.
All right, so let's stop talking about one guy. Let's get to a tier. Tier 2, 10 to 15,000. We have Garrett Richards, Jesse Chavez, Jason Vargas, Rick Porcello, Ryan Vogelsong, Dan Herron, Gavin Floyd, R.A. Dickey, and Edwin Jackson. That's a lot of people to talk about. But honestly, I'm only interested in 2 or 3 of these guys. Let me know if you guys are interested in more than just a couple guys here.
R.A. Dickey.
Yeah, okay. He's on my list. He is my top guy in this tier. He's one of the lowest. I just think he has a lot of good things going for him on Monday.
The only thing is Minnesota actually has been playing better offensively. I know they're not that great. I know they strike out a lot. For some reason, over the past week or two, they've actually been hitting. I actually had Dickey up there too, though. I like his price. I think that he could definitely return value. Another guy I'm looking at, though, is Rick Porcello. I like him against the White Sox, and I think that they strike out almost 25% of the time. And I think he could definitely make value on that.
Well, the big thing about R.A. Dickey is his numbers have been up and down, but at home this season, I think it was like 4 or 5 fantasy points per game more than on the road. And that makes no sense to me. Well, obviously, Toronto is one of the most hitter-friendly parks in the league. Why would he pitch better at home? I don't get it.
Knuckleballers are all over the place. You really can't predict what they're going to do.
You know what? That's true, because Tim Wakefield was always better at home, wasn't he?
Yeah.
That's one of the worst places.
Yeah, I feel like Dickey is a really good tournament play because he's a risk-reward type guy. If the knuckleball's going, he's going to put up some good stats.
Well, and if he goes 5 innings, you can almost guarantee a win because he's going against Ricky Nolasco. And Toronto, number 1 in the league against righties, and Ricky Nolasco is just atrocious.
I think that weighs in more heavily just because the fact of the matter is Toronto should be able to put up a ton of runs tonight. Dickey should be in line for the win, so you get a free, point and a half or so.
Yep.
Yeah, so, it could be definitely worth a play there, 10,000. The other plays are around there, too, Gavin Floyd and Edwin Jackson. I don't really like either of those matchups. Gavin Floyd against Colorado, Edwin Jackson facing Pittsburgh, who he's faced twice this season and has not had good results. I'm not going to take a chance on either of those guys. Dickey would definitely be worth it to me.
You know another guy who's had terrible outings this year? Garrett Richards against Oakland. Two really bad outings this season. I wouldn't even go near him with a 10-foot pole at this point.
I know this is totally arbitrary, but he has a 115.71 ERA versus the A's.
Oh, so, yeah, we're not going to – let's be honest. Oakland is really, really good offensively this season, and they don't show any signs of slowing down. So I pretty much wouldn't touch this game. But I would – on the other side of the mound, I would touch Jesse Chavez in this
I would
this
definitely
matchup.
give Chavez a look.
Yeah.
He's had some really good games this year, and he's a strikeout guy. He's a guy that can strike out both sides of the plate and actually maintain decent stats on both sides of the plate.
I got to go the other way, though. He's cooled off a lot after a really hot start. In his past 3 or 4 starts, he hasn't been that top-notch guy, and he's just under 14,000. I really feel like that's too high of a price for that. And the Angels are good, too. They're a good offensive team. They got Hamilton back. They're good.
But he has already faced them this season and actually had a really good outing. 7 innings pitched, 9 Ks, 1 earned run against the Los Angeles Anaheim Angels of Anaheim, Los Angeles. Right?
Again,
is that their name?
But
it's
again,
something like that. Yeah.
Just check.
Again, though, that was at the beginning. That was at the beginning of the season.
It was
very early in the season. So I'd like to see him bounce back before I'm going to start paying $14,000 for him.
And surprisingly, that is the 3rd lowest over/under, and it's at 8.
Yeah, that's kind of dirty.
A lot of high over/unders today.
Yeah, we're going to talk about some stack guys. We're not going to give you actual guys to put in, but we're going to talk about in this 3rd tier. There are some stackable pitchers coming up. This is 10,000 under. We got Cingrani, Charlie Morton, Bud Norris, Josh Colementer, Jared Cosart, Jake Peavy, Ricky Nolasco, Vidal Nuno, Nick Martinez, Hector Noesi. Ooh, Hector Noesi, that's your guy.
Oh, yeah.
TJ House and Christian Bergman making his major league debut. There are a lot of bad seeds in this. Let's first, before we talk about who we like, who are we stacking against on Monday?
Dare I say Noesi again? I've gotten burned twice in a row. I don't know. I mean, he should get lit up. There's no doubt about it. He should get absolutely crushed.
Detroit 6th against righties, and their offense is extremely potent.
I don't know. I don't know if I can take another burn.
You're just.
I don't know if I can do it.
You've been burned in the past. You are off.
It is what it is.
Yeah, they're coming off a tough game last night, but they're not going to have to travel far for this one.
No, they're not. I mean, everything points towards Detroit having a ton of runs.
Yep.
So I'm going to stack them. I'm going to get burned for a third time. It is what it is.
I'm also Arizona's offense has been absolutely clicking in recent weeks. I think a stack against Jared Cosart in Houston is probably a good idea. They're at home again for Arizona. And Ricky Nolasco, every time I see his name up there, I'm pretty much just stacking against the opposite team.
I think you could go both ways in this one, too. I think you could actually stack Houston as well.
Yep.
But I agree. Arizona's been one of the best offenses over the past 2 weeks. They really have come into their own.
And some interesting guys. Parra's getting in there. Montero's getting in there. Gregorius. There's a lot of just cheap names on StarFantasy.com.
Are you looking at the splits against Nolasco, or are you just going all out?
I just hate Nolasco. He's
easy to pick against. He really is.
All right, we have a few minutes left. Let's get into the actual pitchers in this category that you'd even think of taking, because let's be honest, you don't always have to take these cheap guys. We're just mentioning them because they do have a really inexpensive salary, but it doesn't mean you have to throw like 2 or 3 of them in there.
Morton.
You're taking Doc?
Yeah.
I have
Of course.
Morton is my top guy, and I think we've agreed on every single one so far. That's weird.
This is an ideal matchup.
Changing everything.
He hasn't been way high in his Ks this year, but he's pitched really efficiently, great ground ball percentage. Against the Cubs?
Yeah, he has great numbers against the Cubs, and they're actually one of the worst teams in the league against right-handed pitchers.
Yep, 29th in the league, weighted on-base average against righties, third highest strikeout percentage. This is just a team that, especially when they're not at home, where you can get a little bit of that offense going and get some momentum, they just seem to be atrocious on the road.
Now, he's 9,500, and you're going to laugh again because I'm going to say Vidal Nuno. He's at 6,000. Why stop it? Because
actually, you know what? I have him as a question.
He's consistently made value every single game.
He's listed as a question
games.
mark for me, to be honest. I wouldn't go.
But look at his Ks for that value, though. Really, I mean, he's over 7 Ks per 9 right now.
Yep, 7 Ks per 9. He's around 59.50 on StarFantasyLeagues.com. Another guy that I wouldn't consider being against was Josh Colementer for Arizona. Houston has not been that good. They strike out a lot. 22nd in the league, weighted on base average against righties.
Not that much power in Kansas City this year either.
In Houston.
No, I was talking about Nuno.
Oh yeah, Nuno. That might be true.
I
can't believe you're going with Nuno. I just don't like him.
I don't know why you like Colementer.
Well, fine. Whatever. I don't like your pick. All right, coming after the break, it's time for John Old's Mailbag. And you're listening to the Star Fantasy League Show on 105.5 The Team.
The Star Fantasy League Show. Information is key to being a successful fantasy team owner, and the guys have all the updated info you need right now. Okay, fantasy sports fans.
There's a letter in your mailbox.
Time to dig into Donald's mailbag for your questions and comments.
Read the mail, read the mail, read the mail.
Jump in the game. Send your questions and comments to the Star Fantasy League's team by tweeting at SFL Show.
We are back on the Star Fantasy League Show, and you can tweet us to be part of John Old's Mailbag, because let's be honest, guys, who doesn't want to be part of John Old's Mailbag? At SFL Show, send us your questions, send us your smack talk, whatever you want.
Get him live on the air in Rochester.
That is true. We are soon going to figure out how to get your voices through that phone over there so we can take calls. That'd be cool, right?
But then we can, shut them off whenever we want.
I am so excited to be the producer of the phone call, so when you say something stupid on the air, I will immediately
You're in the middle of an awful sentence. Boom.
Yeah. If you stutter, boom, gone. If you make a comment about Vidal Nuno being a good pick, gone. Done. Off the air.
But Nick's right here still on the air.
No, I muted his microphone about 2 minutes ago. He just doesn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not on the
air.
air.
Wait, that's my voice. Oh, hey, you didn't mute anything.
God damn.
How are we supposed to trust him to be the producer of this if he can't even mute me properly?
Yeah, Nick can hear himself.
He doesn't even know what he's doing. He's trying, but he can't figure it out.
He almost just muted me.
He almost did.
You're number 2.
Yeah, he doesn't know what he's doing.
Oh, my.
Number 2.
I think we need to have a conversation here.
All right, you know what? We're going to stop just having our fun little time, and we're going to get into something very serious.
Fun little time.
Yeah, we're getting to serious business on the Star Fantasy League show. It's time for John Oates' Mailbag. Super serious. Keith M. writes, LeBron James responded to critics by single-handedly willing the Heat to a road victory in Game 2 of the Finals.
Lucky.
Yeah, right. Are the Spurs in trouble if this version of LeBron sticks around?
This is going to be my best attempt at making an unbiased point.
Well,
because you know I have
when
a
you have to
mild
say
disdain.
when you have to say it beforehand, it's clearly not an unbiased point.
It's going to be an attempt. I think that LeBron James is, and I'm not talking about anything else in terms of his impact on the court, but from a shot-making perspective, from distance, jumpers, the type of heating up, if you will, that we saw last night in the third quarter, which, by the way, wasn't the determining factor in the game, in my opinion. In my opinion, this game swayed when the flagrant foul was called on Mario Chalmers, and Tony Parker couldn't make either of the free throws.
He looked off after that,
which would have put them up 4. Tim Duncan immediately after that got fouled and missed both of his free throws, which would have put them up 6, and they would have had a decent space to close out this game, and I think they would have been able to. I thought that was a critical turning point in the fourth quarter. From the third quarter, when LeBron gets in a groove like this, he is so hard to stop because he is such a threat to drive to the lane. He is so capable of getting to the lane and doing what he wants that when he's hitting those jumpers, the opposing team has to give him at least a decent amount of space, not to mention the fact that he's 6'8", and he can jump pretty much higher than anybody, so he's going to get his shot off. But the degree to which he gets hot like this, I think, is only going to happen a maximum of 2 times in the rest of the series. But I would predict just one more time.
Yeah, I agree with you there because I think that his jump shot, that's not such a staple in his game that you're going to see it every single game. He got hot. He knew it. Everybody else knew it. He just started walking up and shooting as he felt like it. There's not much you can do to stop that.
That's like a Kobe moment.
Yeah.
Please just give me the ball and clear out.
Give me the ball and go away.
Get out of your unbiased whatever you're doing.
That was completely unbiased.
I know. I said get out of your unbiased and then talk to me about when he went 6 for 6 and then he went 5 for 5. He took the 6th shot where he wasn't even looking at the basket. He just ran down the court, immediately pulled up, and it was nowhere near the bucket. What was he doing?
He always does that. LeBron,
it's heat check, but it's a stupid
It is
heat
a heat check, but the type of we see this all the time from him. When he hits 2 threes in a row, he goes up and launches one more that is terrible.
Off balance, like one-legged.
He doesn't work to get his best shot sometimes. That's the thing that bothers me.
He just thinks, they're all going to go in.
Everybody can have a heat check, but usually when he misses that final one, it's like spend a little more time creating space for yourself rather than just trying to fade away.
You can't fault him for it, though. You're taking those shots. When you're on that hot of a streak, you keep shooting.
Yeah, but not
He's the hot hand.
His eyes were literally not even looking at the bucket. He just turned his body and shot the ball. It was really, really weird looking.
And when he's hot like that,
and then if he had made it, what would you have said?
I would have said, "What are you doing, LeBron?
What are you doing, being that good?" That's what you would have said.
When he's hot like that, I think there's an opportunity for the defense to come out and he to try to make a drive to the lane while still remaining that hot going forward. I don't think making a layup or going in for a dunk takes away from that. Having said that, I still have the Spurs in this series. I think that Kawhi Leonard and Danny Green getting into foul trouble early on, especially with some very questionable calls on Kawhi Leonard that were ridiculous.
Yeah,
in my
LeBron
opinion.
Getting on his back and shoving him out of the way a couple times.
And Ginobili getting in foul trouble in the first half with Dwayne Wade doing that awkward lean-in sideways jumper that has no business in the game, in my opinion. Those things caused a lot of problems for the Spurs in terms of their depth. We saw Matt Bonner make an appearance. We saw
1 minute.
Saw a lot of guys on the court that we usually don't see getting the type of minutes that they do. They filled in well, but I think Kawhi Leonard's defense and him being able to stay in the game and stay on the court is crucial to their success in the series. Last year, he did a tremendous job on LeBron James, and I think they need more of that if they're going to win this series.
Yeah, we saw a totally different approach by the Heat in this game. They were a lot more physical. They looked for the foul calls like they normally do, but this, for some reason, they were getting some ridiculous calls. There was one where somebody swiped at Dwayne Wade's head and he flopped all over the place.
No flop.
There were some really ridiculously horrible calls. That is a huge, huge factor moving forward. Are the refs going to play a terrible role in this series? Are they going to hurt one team's chances to win this series? It's unfortunate, but this happens in today's NBA because you can't be as physical as you used to be. You can't do all that stuff anymore. So it is what it is.
And I think the Spurs at a point in the second half, they stopped. I don't think they needed to push the ball down in the middle as much. That wasn't the problem. I think they stopped driving into the lane and kicking outside and then moving the ball around. Instead, they were just circulating it around the perimeter towards the end of the third and into early in the fourth, and I think that caused a real problem for them. They need to keep moving the ball and driving the lane and kicking it out.
Mario Chalmers needs to be fined for that game.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
That was a full swing elbow.
Yeah, well, that was atrocious. We'll see how it goes in Game 3. We have plenty of time to talk about it. I think it's a week and a half from now.
I don't like seeing Tony injured.
All right, moving on. Abe D writes, the Stanley Cup Finals have seen 3 overtimes in the first 2 games. At this pace, how many overtimes should we expect in this series? Over-under on 12. I'm just kidding. I didn't actually make an over-under.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of expected it because these two teams, they play similar styles. I wasn't expecting the high-scoring game.
Yeah, it was 5-4 in both games?
I really don't think you're going to see another game like that.
3-2 and then 5-4.
Oh, okay.
I don't think you're going to see another game like that. These two teams play too much defense for that to happen. They adjust very well on the fly. The Rangers got out to a lead, and the Kings, like they have all playoffs long, they've come back. So the Rangers need to figure out a way to stay in check the whole game. They have to stay in it the whole game.
I saw a tweet by Adam Schefter today saying that the Kings have won their last 3 games without leading for a second.
Yeah, the Rangers haven't trailed at all in this series. They've been up the entire time. They have to figure out a way to stay solid.
The Game 7 against Chicago, they came back, won in overtime.
Wait, how do you what are they going to do now that they actually have a lead in a series in the playoffs? Are the Kings going to be really confused and just collapse?
Well, I think the Rangers will win tonight. I mean, they've been playing too well for them to not have a chance to win.
Here's the biggest question though. What do they need to do differently to win, or do they not need to do anything at all differently? Because it seems like
they need to play 3 full periods.
Yeah, it seems like they're right there. They just can't close out.
It sounds very cliche, but they need to play a complete game.
Yeah, they've had a lot of lapses, allowing the LA offense to really get it going. They've done a good job of holding it back for periods throughout every single game. I mean, they've been so close to winning every game. I think they should be able to get back in the series.
What I will say, though, is that I feel like this game was also affected by the referees. Dwight King had a goal, or I'm not sure if they gave him credit for the goal, but Dwight King clearly interfered with Henrik Lundqvist on that play. It was a blatant interference. I don't care. He was jockeying for position, whatever. If there is a player standing in front of you, you don't just get to bowl right through them to get to your spot, and that's what he did. And the refs, they made a miscall on that one. That allowed the Kings to get back into that game. It started their comeback. That can't happen. You can't just look over the rules on that. That's really unfortunate that
You don't
happened.
think he got nudged a little bit?
Nudged. It's a nudgy.
In my opinion, McDonough stood his ground in front of the net, and a defenseman is allowed to do that. The forward is not allowed to
squeeze in there.
Yeah, the forward's not allowed to squeeze their way to the front when the goalie's right there. Lundqvist was on the edge of his crease. He was not out of his crease, meaning he is still in his territory. So you can't. And the rule itself, you cannot interfere with the goalie's ability to block the puck.
As for the question, 2 more overtimes.
2 more overtimes? Alrighty. We'll see how many more ridiculous points Justin Williams
I'm going 3.
Three! How many more points are we going to see from Justin Williams? Already has 5 through 2 games.
Yeah, he's been fantastic.
My God.
He does this all the when he was in Anaheim. Was it Anaheim?
What?
Where was he?
Carolina.
Yes, Carolina. Yeah, he did this all the time.
Yeah.
This is Justin Williams performs in crunch time in the playoffs.
Well, and how about Marian Gaborik against his old team? If you're a New York Rangers fan, sorry. I can't believe he just didn't play with you guys, and now he's playing with the Kings.
Whoops. All right, we got to move on to one more question before we close out John's mailbag. James Z writes, Manny Machado incited a bench-clearing confrontation by throwing his bat at the Athletics' third baseman.
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. What should be done about this, or is it much ado about nothing? It can't be much ado about nothing. There was some malice in that throw.
Yeah, there absolutely was. I've never seen a player try to play this off like this.
Oops. Oh, I accidentally half swung and then threw my bat.
You can see him release his hands.
He moved his body back to dodge the ball and then just launched the bat. Well, this is using the bat as a weapon as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, he's got to be suspended.
He's got to be suspended. It was a deliberate throw.
He's a punk. Do you see what the incident that inspired this actual thing?
Yeah, the Josh Donaldson tag.
I hit him in the stomach a little bit, and then he immediately throws his helmet down in disgust. what are you
Yeah,
doing,
he
Machado?
was also trying to avoid the tag, meaning that Donaldson needed to reach out further.
That's what I was saying. It's not like Machado was just walking up to him and he smacked him in the stomach. He was actively attempting to avoid the tag.
And this is a guy that's having he was having a frustrating game.
Yep.
They were getting blown out.
Yeah, 11-1.
And he's having a frustrating year.
But he can't do that.
I'm just saying he played so well last year.
Yeah, last year he was like one of the best defensive players in the league, and I think when things go wrong and you allow things to bubble over, I mean, I've never seen anything like that. Where you just chuck
where you just launch a bit. I mean, it was pretty close.
The only other thing I could think of was wasn't it Clemens that threw the broken bat?
Piazza, but he picked it up and threw it at him.
Yeah, so that's the only other thing that I could think of. But even that one was kind of questionable. He may have been throwing it out of the way.
Was ill intent because he was throwing it at Josh Donaldson, who originally had the issue with him. So if he had thrown it, if somebody else was in the game playing third base, oh, I'm sorry, oops. But a pitcher throws inside, and then you get really mad and throw a bat 2 days after you just had an issue with the guy.
It was great that he really tried to play it off like he didn't have anything to do with it. It was an accident, it slipped.
Yeah, and then he had the right to get angry.
Yeah.
Then he was all pissed.
All right, Manny Machado, we hardly knew you. You're probably getting the 10-game
But this is stuff about baseball that is hilarious.
Yeah, I was going to say, replay kind of killed a lot of the confrontation, but guess what? We're getting some back with people doing stupid things on the baseball field. I love it. I love confrontation. It adds to the game. Come out of the break. We're talking more baseball. We're talking Tuesday on StarFantasyLeagues.com, and you're listening to the Star Fantasy League Show on 105.5 The Team.
Play fantasy sports for cash prizes. Join the top daily and weekly fantasy leagues in the country at StarFantasyLeagues.com. Now, back to the Star Fantasy League Show with Donald, Teddy Bear 2, and the Deucey Moose. Only on the Team.
That's right, Deucey. You haven't heard that in a couple days. Did you miss it?
It's such a great sound.
Everything, come on. The voiceover guy on our show, he does amazing work, despite the fact that he's trapped in a cage for 23 hours. Yeah. He does really good work.
It's not the easiest life in the world, but it's really rewarding.
You know what? For an actual reward, I might walk him after this segment's over.
Don't you dare.
No.
Like around the cage?
Well, no, around the office.
Oh, okay.
I'm not going to take him outside.
How far do you let him go?
Once you give him that freedom, he's going to take it and run with it.
Don't let him into the conference room.
I'm
going to
love
that carpet in the conference room.
Yeah, if there's somebody listening to this show for the very first time, we apologize. We actually have a man in our cage that does our voiceover work.
You know what they say? If you give the man in a cage a walk, he's going to want a glass of milk.
That's what they say?
That's
what they say.
Is that like the give a man or teach a man to fish? Is that like that anecdote? No?
Not at all.
Okay.
Like that.
Whoa.
I love when you have a friend that says, like I've said before, and you've never heard them say whatever they say.
Yeah, that's a bit confusing.
It's like I said before.
Like I like to say, I've never heard you say that.
Or you've met them for the first time and they say that, and you're like, how would I know that? Like, I don't know you. Who are you? You're Steve. I don't get it. All right, we got to move into Tuesday. There's 14 games on the slate, StarFantasyLeagues.com. We're doing what we normally do. We're looking for some stacks, which means we're putting a few players, usually 2 to 4 on the same team on our roster. Where are we starting out, Zach?
I mean, it's hard to not look at Toronto.
You can always stack Toronto.
It's hard not to look at the number one offense in the majors. Yes, that would be a thing.
I mean, Correa?
Yeah, Kevin. Okay, I think it's Correa. I think we actually determined it was Correa.
Correa.
Yeah, what?
Like Evan Fournier.
No, not even close.
Donald's even pronounced that one like 4 different ways.
Yeah, I said Correa. It doesn't matter. We're about fantasy. We're not about pronunciation on this show. Correa not good at all. 6.11 ERA. Bad against both lefties and righties. He's just low ground ball pitcher. These are all things that just say, no, thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to get into trouble early. How about that?
Yeah, exactly. He just says, 3 innings pitched, 7 earned runs. Yeah, that's me. How you doing?
Yeah, this game has high runs written all over it. Toronto's heavily favored.
10 over-under, too.
I love the matchup. Correa, whatever, has a tough time getting people out, tough time getting strikeouts, low ground ball percentage. It's all there. Game's in Toronto.
I didn't even really have to look twice at this one. This one was a pretty easy one.
It's right there in front of you.
You could go 2 through 5 hitters on Toronto, and you should be all set.
And it's a righty, which means there's an Adam Lind
Exactly.
edible inciting going on.
I think the key is if you love Toronto, which I think a lot of people will, the key is going to be finding value to stack around that lineup.
Yeah, that's true. They're a really expensive stack. Bautista has good numbers. He's only faced Correa 9 times, has 2 home runs and a double already. He's super expensive. Everyone else on this team, the big bats, have 400 and over weighted on-base average against righties, which is really, really high. That's at the elite level. Lind is over that. Francisco, Encarnacion. That's 4 guys right there. You can just easily stick in your lineup and get some good runs.
Yes. I mean, if you haven't caught on with Toronto yet, get on board because they're the guys that you want to fit in almost every night.
Yep. All right. Where are we going next for a stack?
I love Atlanta tomorrow. They're facing Colorado.
You went with my out of the box.
That's not out of the box
they're
at all.
Okay, they're overall as a team, they're 28th against righties, but I love their matchup so much that I don't care at all.
Yeah, I don't think it matters. I think that you can find a couple of batters in this lineup that are going to do well. They're facing Juan Nicasio from Colorado, 1.6 home runs per 9 innings. That's good enough for me.
Yeah.
So there should be plenty of runs. I would load up on a couple of guys. Freddie Freeman, who's been fantastic for Atlanta. Justin Upton, who bats right behind him in the 4th spot. Jason Hayward, the leadoff hitter, and Tommy La Stella, your find, our value play there. He's around 4,300, so could give you some value. Could be a nice little average price on
those
your
two
lineup.
big lifties there are the 2 I really love in this lineup, and Freeman and
Hayward's
Hayward.
had a good little stretch.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, he has. He's gotten better. He's just under 7,000. That price is going to start creeping up.
Yeah,
so
Nicasio is atrocious against lefties. His weighted on-base average is pretty high up there in the elite range for offenses.
It's in Colorado where the air loves to carry.
Yeah, and
the air loves to carry.
If you're looking at a couple of big pitchers and you want to get them in your lineup, I think Atlanta's a stack that you'd probably like to go with just because there's some value guys that you can definitely get in there. They're not going to be as high priced as all the guys on Toronto.
Well, I actually have a I'm going to go to my stack. My stack is the Boston Red Sox against Chris Tillman. This game is in Baltimore. These guys you can get in for some not so high elevated prices, which is nice. Mike Napoli just returned, so his price is around the 6,000 mark. He had a big return the other day, which is good. Come in right away, hit, show that you're not fatigued. Who knows if he even plays? Honestly, I would monitor that because does he play back to back right off the bat? I'm honestly not sure. David Ortiz is all the way down under 8,000 now on StarFantasyLeagues.com. I'd give him a consideration. Przynski's under 6, and then Bogarts, who's been on an absolute tear. I love.
I'm just nervous about this Boston lineup. I'm not sure that I can put a ton of faith in them.
Why? Chris Tillman is so
Ortiz
bad.
is also 2 for 19 lifetime versus Tillman. So there's something about this matchup that's just a little bit off. I mean, even on the other side, Nelson Cruz, I feel like he's going to cool down. I feel like Adam Jones isn't going to. Yeah, I feel like there's a couple of other matchups out there I'm really more sold on. I love Boston, but I just don't know that I could go 100% on this one.
All right, then what's another stack that you're interested in? Because like I said, I like to go with the out-of-the-box stacks. Boston's obviously not one of my top 3 stacks of the night. It's just something different to get some money saved because you can't just put in the Colorados. You can't just put in the Torontos. It'll eat up your money really quickly.
Yeah, I was going to say the other one that I could go with, and this might be a little off the beaten path, is Miami.
Yep, that was my other weird one.
Colby Lewis, not very strong. I'm looking at the 3 through 6 hitters from Miami with John Stanton, Casey McGahee, Garrett Jones, and then Marcell Ozuna. I haven't actually played him yet this year, and I looked at him, and he's actually really great in this situation against right-handed pitchers. So all those guys, 3 out of those 4 you can get for under 7,000. So there's a good stack that if you wanted to stack one of those high-priced teams, you could kind of level it out a little bit.
Although, let's be honest, if you're starting anybody on Miami, it is Giancarlo Stanton, 404 weighted on-base average, but he is really expensive. He's over 10,000
exactly.
right now.
Colby Lewis the top ERA of the day?
Oh, the highest, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he's not.
No,
Kevin Correa is at 6.11.
Okay, so he's second.
Anytime you're over 5, that's usually not very good.
Yeah, and I mean we talked about how the ERA isn't the most reliable stat, but when you get that high, there's something going on. You can definitely expect some runs to be
you
scored.
definitely have to look into some other stats when you're seeing that. If you look and you see like a really high BABIP, you're like, okay, maybe that's something different, but a lot of these guys have really low BABIPs and high ERAs, which means they're getting a little lucky on these ground balls, which means their ERAs should be higher, which is impressive.
We'll see what happens with Miami tomorrow. I think they should be pretty solid against Lewis.
Yeah,
and
I
it's in
think
Texas.
Colby's really just coasting along, managing to stay in this rotation right now.
Yeah, how?
Yeah, I just don't see him. He hasn't had a really good start so far, has he?
No, he hasn't.
Yeah.
No.
So.
All right, you know what? Let's actually move on to the pitchers, because there's 14 games. There is a lot to process. When you're looking at a slate this big, and you have some guys that are really expensive. We got Tanaka and Wainwright at the top around the 20 mark, and then we have all these guys all the way at the bottom that are really inexpensive. What's the first thing that you look at on a slate this big?
Justin Verlander.
Okay, just because you have an affinity and a love for Justin Verlander doesn't mean you need to talk about him every time
I'm going to hit the jackpot.
Okay.
This is what I'm saying. It hasn't worked.
Yeah,
No,
that's true.
He has had a rough season, but I agree. I think this
the
is
time
the one.
is coming, and this is a very high strikeout team in the White Sox. I think this is a great matchup for him.
I've said this every time, though. They're a high strikeout, but against righties, they're good. Against lefties, they're really bad. But righties they're eighth against righties in the league.
We're just waiting for I'm not going to miss out on a dominant performance. I've taken him too many times.
The value's there. I mean, it should be there. He's just over 10,000.
See, that's the problem with daily fantasy. You can't hope that something's going to be there when the stats say it's not going to be there.
That's exactly what you are supposed to do in fantasy.
Hoping?
You're supposed to hope that your picks are correct.
No. I'm saying you can't say that you hope and then make the pick based on your hopes.
Well, I am hoping and loving Verlander tomorrow.
But as I've said before, just because a player does you wrong a couple times in a row doesn't mean you get spiteful and shy away from him.
Which is why I'm in a stack against Noesi tonight.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's very smart of you. Do not take Noesi for granted.
If you burn me again, I'm going to find you.
Wow.
And I'm going to say that I don't like you, and then I will kindly walk away.
That got violent really quickly. All right, since you guys are
didn't hit anybody.
Since you guys are going to talk about people that you love and Justin Verlander, I have to talk about Masahiro Tanaka because I've picked him every single time he's started this season, and he is
Do we
amazing.
actually have to talk about him? I mean,
we do because
Isn't he a given?
He's been What if somebody's listening to the Star Fantasy League show? They tuned in right now and have no idea what daily fantasy baseball is. Tanaka's been the most solid pitcher this season. He's always around like 10 fantasy points a game. He's been incredible.
If they live in this state, they should know about Tanaka.
I don't know.
I was going to say, if they're listening for fantasy advice, you should probably watch the game.
What if they were
first.
confused and they thought it was the Doug Gottlieb show and they're like, who the hell are these guys? What's going on? What's fantasy?
And they're like, oh, I get to find out all sorts of cool information. I'm definitely going to keep listening.
See,
And
look
these
at
guys
that.
sound like they're really good looking, too. And that's just the way it is.
Oh, wow. We went in a weird direction there.
Well, 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Oh, thank you so much.
He was
All right.
talking about me.
I know. Oh, I know.
Thank you so much.
So where else are we going for pitchers? Because I actually like a lot of inexpensive guys on Tuesday on StarFantasyLeagues.com.
I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah, I want to know your guys' opinion. I'm high on Liriano again.
I'm not.
You made fun of me last time.
Sure did.
He's going up against the Chicago Cubs. I know they're third against lefties, but again, they strike out a lot, and their offense just hasn't been good.
Well, that's exactly why I'm not going to like him. They're third against lefties.
They have 2 power lefties. That's it.
Well, but they're third in the league in weighted on-base average against left-handed pitchers. That's just like...
Okay. Let me clarify this.
All right.
Francisco Liriano is a reverse split pitcher. He's good against righties, bad against lefties. So a team that's good against lefties is probably better from the other side of the plate. That's what I'm assuming.
Well, that's not necessarily
with the
true,
Cubs.
though. That's not necessarily true.
Okay.
The numbers.
Liriano, I'm sorry, but Liriano's just he's been solid.
All right. Well, at that price, at the
Recently.
very same price, I would go with AJ Burnett because I think he has a way better matchup. I just Liriano. How could you? You're boggling me right now, John.
I
You're
boggled your
boggling
mind
me.
last time I went with Liriano. You said, what a terrible
but you
pick.
had a good reason because the Dodgers were horrible against left-handed pitchers, and I don't know. I don't understand. You have me taking the lefty tonight
Liriano
against
has
the
a
Dodgers.
high strikeout rate against one of the teams with the highest strikeout percentages. This is a formula for good things. They're in Pittsburgh, not in Chicago. If they were in Chicago, I probably wouldn't touch this matchup, to be honest. Wouldn't touch it. All right.
Well, I don't know.
What about Estrada?
Well, he's a high home run pitcher. But
I know that, but the Mets.
That's true.
But that's kind of what I thought. I was like, man, here comes Estrada. I would love to stack a big bat against him. But
and there's no big. Yeah,
Low
there's no
nobody to
over-under,
pick.
Milwaukee's favored. Strikes out at a pretty high clip. I mean, that ground ball percentage worries me a little bit. And yes, home run guy, but not bad value.
No, I mean,
there.
yeah, at 12,000, it's a possibility that he makes value for sure. I mean, just because he has a high home run
This is
number.
the Mets' biggest problem by far. They can cough up a dud any time.
Yeah, that's true. It is.
I mean, it sounds about right. His numbers don't look very good, but the matchup is really enticing. These are the quarrels you get into when you're doing daily fantasy sports. You see a number you like, you see a number that makes sense, and you go, "Yes, this is weird."
Or
What
you
am I
just see the
looking
name Justin Verlander.
at? Oh my god! We
And you
had
just
to
know.
get Verlander's name in there one more time. Don't take him, please. Don't
he's a
listen
hell
to
of
him.
a guy.
Do it.
All right, coming up after the break, we're giving you all of our value picks, our top plays of the day for Tuesday on StarFantasyLeagues.com, and you also have the Star Fantasy League show on 105.5 The Team.
You're listening to the Star Fantasy League Show. Contact the StarFantasyLeagues.com guys via Twitter at SFL Show.
That is right, Rochester. All you have to do to get on the Star Fantasy League Show is tweet us at SFL Show or at SFL Nick, SFL Zach. Don't tweet me. I don't care.
It's not hard to be a part of what we've got going on.
But seriously, if you're driving home and you're commuting right now, home from work in Rochester,
don't do it.
Yeah, don't tweet us. Pull over to the side of the road, tweet us on your little
into your
smartphones.
local Dunkin' Donuts.
Tim Hortons, what are you doing?
Pick up some home fries; they're fantastic, and park it up and send out your tweet.
All right, we got to get to it's.
Oh yeah, great home fries.
Yeah, it's the end of the show, so we got to talk about our top plays. We're not talking about our top home fries, guys. No.
Well, I think we should because that's an important discussion to have.
All right, you know what? On tomorrow's show, we'll have a question about the home fries, but now we are talking about our top plays for Tuesday on StarFantasyLeagues.com for Major League Baseball. We're going to start with
Major League home fries.
Yes, we're going to start.
Who should I go for at pitcher, though?
Oh, I wonder. Zach, are you going to go with Justin Verlander?
I'm going with Justin Verlander, right around 10,000. Can't beat the upside. I cannot emphasize this enough. You cannot beat the upside.
You can't beat the upside.
And then somebody who's dipped a little bit, Miguel Cabrera, who's sitting at 9,600.
He's going for full homer. You are pulling a Jason Gringer.
As long as he's good to go, I am good to go on Miguel Cabrera. And I will take that 9,600, and I will take him over pretty much anybody that is above him in salary because that is good value.
Okay, and who you got for a stack and a value play if you got one?
My stack is Toronto, as I mentioned before,
okay.
And I don't know. I think Matt Kemp is a decent option, sitting at 5,600.
If he plays. We have to keep saying this disclaimer with Matt Kemp. If he plays.
Past couple of games have been really strong for Kemp.
Yeah, he's coming on a little bit.
I'm looking for the comeback. I've been waiting for the comeback.
And it was hard to think that he was completely going to go away. So.
Baseball players go through slumps. It happens all the time. So I think Kemp should be a great bounce back. I like that.
I can't believe the All-Star break isn't that far away.
I know. It's close.
We're going to just have nothing to talk about for a full week. It's going to be depressing. We're going to have to play games. We're going to do that.
Well,
all right,
NFL
Nick.
will be right around the corner
That's
at that
true.
point.
All right, Nick, it's your turn. Give us some plays of the day on Tuesday.
My pitcher of the day is Corey Kluber. He is my boy.
Ooh, you will love
I
Corey
love Corey
Kluber.
I think he is having a breakout season. 17,000 on StarFantasyLeagues.com. I don't care about the matchup. I think he's matchup proof at this point, but he is facing Kansas City, so should be good. Should be a good one. Batter of the day is going to be Ian Kinsler for Detroit. He's at 9,200. He has great numbers against Danks. Has 4 home runs in his career, so I think he should be good for a good play. And value batter, I'm going to go with Mike Olt.
Mike Olt?
Yeah, for Chicago. Yep. He is 3,800, so a lot of value there. Great numbers against left-handed pitchers. And my stack of the day is going to be the Atlanta Braves.
I guess we should have discussed the Detroit stack.
Yeah.
Since we got 2 in there.
This is true. All right, let's move on to mine. I got Giancarlo Stanton, 10,000, 332 around there.
Stanton go boom boom.
Yeah, I think this is one of those Stanton go boom boom. In Texas against Colby Lewis, he's just not good. Gives up lots of home runs, et cetera, et cetera. Masahiro Tanaka is my pitcher of the day. No surprise there. Most expensive. I picked him every single time.
I want to see who you're going to be putting in to couple him.
Oh, don't you worry. I have Tommy LaStella as my value play of the day. Little over 4,000 playing at Colorado. He's been pretty decent around the low numbers.
He really has. He stepped into his role and done very nicely.
So I guess you're going to save a huge chunk of change by selecting Dice K.
No.
Oh, no. Okay.
No, I'm going to be – no, but I am going to be stacking either the Braves, Red Sox, or Marlins, something around there, because those 3 teams allow you to put inexpensive stacks out there to allow me to get the expensive players.
So you're going with Brandon Workman, huh?
I'm really liking that Marlins stack.
No, I'm not pitching. I'm not doing the pitcher. What is
John
wrong with
is
you?
endorsing Brandon Workman as his starter of the day.
I can assure you Brandon Workman is not my starter of the day.
Kevin Correa.
No.
Correa.
All right, we got to give away free value on StarFantasyLeagues.com. Tweet us at SFL Show for $5 free in your account. Thousands of dollars in guaranteed prize pools every single day.
$50 free roll on Tuesday.
And Thursday. We got a lot going on. Every other day there's free rolls as well. Are you guys excited for tomorrow? Because I think we just talked about something that it's going to be a big part of tomorrow's Star Fantasy League show.
Go Spurs.
No, not that.
Oh.
Man, you just ruined. I thought you were going to
Go
talk about it again.
Tigers.
Verlander.
No, man. No Verlander. No Tigers. And if you guys are ready for Home Fry Tuesday, we're ready. Take it easy, guys.